as usual, I would like someone to be my assistant tonight. Okay.
Oh, Mr. Very good.
We are very good. Thank you very much. So you're gonna be the first one to get a check from me.
Oh,
Go ahead and give yourself a check. Okay. So our plan for tonight, we will continue with our case. If you recall last time, we did a case about emotional intelligence, right? And that is about how we are different. So we're gonna explore issue of personality, and after we're done with individual differences with issue of personality, we continue with our case, which is gonna be decision making. All right. So group number 2, where you are. Are you ready? You guys ready? Okay, for one collaboration. All right. So okay, let's talk about. Before we talk about case, let me give you background information regarding how we are different. Okay, so this is if you recall, last time our focus is on leadership, because we try to develop leadership, and one essence of being a leader is to influence, right? To motivate. The thing is that when we lead, we must have followers which are human people. Therefore, this is essential to understand persons who are led by us or by a leader. So since people can be very complicated, we are different. And this is for versus in front of you. This is just issue of gender. Men versus women. This is how we can be different. For example, when when someone gets broken, when a guy gets broken heart, guys go out to drink to forget about girl. But when girls drink, most of the time talk about that person that broke her heart. Or when the guys are in love, they become poor. Or when the girls are in love, they become pretty. Or guys can forget but cannot forgive. For example, guys can easily forget birthday, anniversary, and so on. But for girls can forgive. When a guy that she loves do something that she doesn't like to forgive. But every time when they fight, she keep talking about the same thing that happened in the past. So this is just how if we look at just gender, we can be very much different. But it's not just gender that makes us different. There are other factors that make us different. For example, age. I would think that I have a lot of things that depend on you guys. Simply or have different age. Gender, temperament, background. For example, someone who has a junior background, most of the time maybe the way they probably depends on someone who has background with art, something like that. So this is something that just maybe we can think of, but actually there are lots of factors that make people different, especially in the workplace. But it's essential for manager to understand those differences. As you recall, manager have to pay chess, not checker. And because when you pay chess, it means that those pieces are different. This is means that we are different. So manager must observe, recognize those differences, study, and maybe to see correlation or how those personality related to other behavior or probably performance that we are looking for. Try to make sense from that knowledge and know how to handle and manage human beings. In fact, there's one thing that makes business school different from psychology school in the way that in psychology they try to study human beings and understand human beings. But in business school, it's not just to understand. But after we understand, we have to be able to handle or manage those people. This is make us different from folks, opposite road, that they just try to understand human beings. Alright, so and this is big picture. When we're talking about differences, how we are different. We can be different in terms of personality, we can be different in terms of perception, ability, and attitude. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of time to cover everything in front of you now. So I'm just pick one that is probably main focus that how we different versus personality. But we're gonna leave perception maybe later the second half when we're talking about performance evaluation. So most of the time it cannot be very objective, it's subjective, and it depends on how supervisor perceive individuals or subordinate. Therefore, we will talk about perception later. But our focus for now is going to be about ability and personality. Okay, and this is the big picture. Okay, from last time when we did a case, it is about emotion, about emotional intelligence. But from the big picture, comparable between those aspects, how we are different. Well, as you can see at the top, relatively fixed, meaning that it's stable. Well, it's not really stable because nothing is doesn't change. But it changes very slowly, which is in the platform intelligence and then ability, personality, for self-evaluation, which is include self-esteem, self-efficacy, locus of control, and until attitudes and emotion. For example, just like emotion, it can change easily. Maybe just you wake up in the morning, you have certain emotion, but maybe something happened, maybe on the street, maybe because of traffic, maybe because of something happened on your way to work. That can change your emotion easily. Okay, so that's well, again, probably we don't cannot cover about this part. Our focus we will start with intelligence, which is at the top, and then we move to personality. Well, and once again, the reason that we care about this stuff is because this is business bottom line, and we are business person. So everything that we do, we have to deliver business results, and this is what can drive business results: job performance, job satisfaction, turnover, organization, citizenship behaviors, counterproductive, which is we don't want it to happen. Work behavior. This can be explained by those variables. Okay, so let's start with intelligence. Well, actually, this is just nice to know, but actually, personally, I don't think that we are very much different in terms of our IQ. Meaning that as long as we have undergrad, we have bachelor degree, I think we don't very much different in terms of how smart we are, but maybe it's other thing that we put in. Especially last week, if you recall, when the first time that we met, I mentioned idea about grit, which is referred to passion and persistence. Meaning that we believe that someone will succeed in their life is not just because that person is very smart, but because that person is very persistent. Nonetheless, if you try to understand intelligence, this is how we see intelligence in terms of like academic world. The way that it's when we're talking about intelligence is it's mean that be able to think, constructive thinking, reasoning, problem solving, and this is characteristic or maybe something that we explain about intelligence. Yes, it's not purely genetic, meaning that part can come from environment, can come from where we live, experience that we get, and then sometimes it can come like food or other factor that can even damage or just can help us to increase our intelligence. Therefore, maybe in the past people say that intelligence can be very stable, but right now we believe that intelligence can be altered or modified by learning, by we try to sharpen our thinking, practice make perfect, something like that. Unfortunately, this is from textbook saying something like a steady rise in average intelligence has been observed. I say unfortunately because this is not the case in Thailand. From what I read from the article, it seems like in Thailand IQs of the baby seem like to decrease. The reason is maybe malnutrition from mother. Maybe because we have like teenager pregnant. In Thailand, this is problem. In Thailand, we have like someone that doesn't want to have a baby but have baby. But lots of people want to have a baby, they cannot have a baby. I don't know why. But this is, happen in Thailand. That therefore, when those people are not really ready to have baby, therefore maybe it's lead to, nutrition for mother that is not good. And maybe part of the reason is that the mothers care very much about that, their shape. So they maybe they don't eat well enough. Therefore, it can affect IQ of baby. That's because they don't get enough food or something like that. That's about intelligence, general intelligence. But later we see intelligence in many ways. For example, it's not just about problem solving or constructive thinking. But when we talk about intelligence, it can be multiple ways. For example, linguistic, someone who can learn language very fast. Maybe can speak a lot of languages, such as in terms of intelligence, in terms of learning language, or maybe logical, mathematical, musical, spatial, interpersonal, and so on. That's a different type of intelligence. That therefore, when we say that, well, I'm not smart, well, it's actually you have to look at deeply that, well, it's a lot of way that we can be smart. So we just find way that we can be very, very smart. That is about intelligence. But nonetheless, something that more essential above all can be practical intelligence. It's not just because you have IQ and then you can get by everything. But practical intelligence help people to get by because to adapt or to shape or to select environment, and this is probably lead to better results for when you're talking about intelligence more than just IQ. But you can adapt, you can think, you can adjust yourself, you can use your knowledge. That is practical intelligence. And that's that part is about intelligence. But now let's move on to personality. I personally like this quote, I'm not crazy, I'm not just you. Because we're different, we're unique. Makes us personality makes us different from others. Well, okay, to set the same tone, this is definition. When we're talking about personality, it's stable set. But again, nothing is completely stable in this world. Therefore, when we're talking about stable, it means relatively enduring. Meaning that, well, we talk about someone's personality is staying that way, it will not change overnight. If personality change overnight, it means that person is sick. It's like something a personality disorder. So it's just it seems to stay that way. For example, what you perceive me as my personality last week be the same with this week, but not very much different unless something hit me badly. That can change my personality really fast. But most of the time, if no crisis, if we don't have something happen in our life, big thing, well, it's relatively enduring. It's stable. When it's stable, so it can help us to predict what people will do in each situation. In the other word, it's become major determinant of one behavior. Influence of one behavior across variety of situations. We can predict what person will handle this situation because of that personality. If that person aggressive or not aggressive, or that person is what so and so. All right. So before we move on to how we develop our personality, let's me ask you to share your personality. You don't have to go with like fancy personality types and in textbook, but maybe how you see yourself in the other word. Who would like to describe yourself with 3 words about yourself? 3 words. Use 3 words to describe yourself. Yes, 3 words to describe yourself. All right. Vasana. 3 words. Traveling. Enjoy traveling a lot. Music, okay, nice. Okay, that's me too. Okay, that's enjoy life. Sunita, yeah. Eat. Really? You don't look like someone who since when? Maybe last 2 weeks, 3 kilograms. Come on. What did you do? 3 kilograms is seem a lot, from last 2 weeks. Okay, eat and second, also eat. Don't tell me that the third one is also eat.
Yes, eat too.
Eat and eat and
Or
eat.
the second one is
Smile. And
third one is funny.
funny.
I would like to entertain others to make the others smile. It is my happiness.
Oh, that is very charming. That is very good. Well, I don't want to judge. Actually, when we talk about personality, nothing good, nothing bad, but maybe it's something that's like, yes, funny, sense of humor. Anybody else? Okay, I see you raise hand. Pitita, yeah. Like to entertain others. This is surprise. Maybe you have to give her a chance. So you can show that how she can be a good entertainer. Okay. But okay, I believe you. I believe you. Yes, I believe you. Okay. Entertain and then
Socialize.
socialize.
Eat.
Eat. Actually, it is a Thai thing. I think it's our thing, when we talk about eat, talk, go to toilet. This is something that some people tell me, when Thai go on a trip, 3 things that Thais ask for: eat, talk, and toilet. Okay, well, it's our thing. But anyway, yeah, I also personally enjoy eating. Anyway, so how we develop personality. You will say we are okay, like father, like son. And apple will not far away from a tree. If someone says something like that, it means that personality is from heredity. In the other, it's from genes. Because you got this from your maybe your mom or maybe from your dad. That is a part of personality. Well, look at this. There is a study of identical twins. So they follow identical twins since those twins were born. But those twins were raised separately, which is in different environments. Believe it or not, those twins turn out to after they grow up, and then they work. They have similar level of job satisfaction, and even they give the same name to their pets, something like that. So probably this is influence from heredity or genes. But heredity is not the only factor that form personality. It's also from environment, which is from social exposure, from physiological forces, socio-economic forces. In the other one, from these 4 boxes, if we would like to describe how personality forms, we can say that it forms to both nature and nurture. Yes, nature is from genes, form because you are, this is exactly the way that your dad smile. You just have the same smile. That, and also this is from nurture, from family relationship forces, cultural forces, culture that you are grew up, social classes and other group member forces. And this is maybe the reason why, if someone say, Ajahn, I need your sister. Chances are not my real sister because I am sister. We're not alike in terms of personality and also appearance. Maybe because even though we share this same, but because we very different in terms of our environment. I went to Tiêm Budong, but my sister went to Sati Vittaya. And my sister went to Faculty of Art. I went to business school. So we very much different the way that we think, how we handle situation or problem, or even our look. She big, dark complexion. So very much different for me. So when I say, even we're not alike, even though we are sisters. And then she said, of course, because you have a lot of plastic surgery. Okay. But we're not. So we were, so therefore, when this lady an assistant, no. Right now she work for Ministry of International Affairs. Anyway, so very different. Okay, when we talk about personality, this is type of well, not type, but when we mention about identify personalities, can be shy, aggressive, submissive, lazy, ambitious, diligent. We have tons of personality, but since we would like to be efficient in studying, therefore we will focus just only personality that has been explored or researched in management. Once again, maybe you see some type of personality in your place, for example, like this. But those type of personality are not means that we don't have a lot of study about those type of personality. So the type of personality that we are going to talk about will be a personality that is research. Alright, so it's not just about concept or about just idea, but this is something that has been like by data collection and come up with conclusion. Let's start with this first one, Meyer and Wick, which is from the first dimension. Before we begin, let's set this, make this, just have the same tone that when we use Meyer and Wick, MBTI, we have to determine all 4 dimensions and put those 4 dimensions to become a code. Therefore, in one code that is comprised of 4 elements, which is first one, extroversion versus introversion. I believe that we already discussed about extroversion last time. Therefore, I will not repeat this concept. But for this personality type, you cannot say, Ajahn, I'm something between extrovert and introvert. No, you can't. That in the assessment, they will put you into either extrovert or introvert. So you get one code. If you extrovert, you get E. But for introvert, you get I. That is first dimension. Second dimension is sensing versus intuition. This is how we collect data. For sensing, a group of persons, they want information for our senses. Therefore, for sensing person, they're comfortable with a lot of information. But for intuition, they just want big picture. Something, if they got a lot of information, it will make them feel overwhelmed. For example, this is something that I enjoy because I'm a type of person that would enjoy cooking a lot because I also enjoy eating. But most of the time, I enjoy my food. Therefore, I tend to cook my own food. And this is recipe pumpkin soup, which is maybe some of you like it too. But we tend to demonstrate concept of Meyer and Wick. For example, when if you're sensitive type person, when you cook, you will have all necessary equipment, heavy pan, knife, computer, even thermometer. You check ingredients, consult cookbook, call friends, or maybe nowadays maybe you Google. And it's not just one website, but you will Google to a lot of websites because you want to find information when you want to cook. That type of person who's sensing. But for intuition, well, because there is a lot of possibility of creative in this soup. A good let's pumpkin soup offers potential for synchronized cooking. So just open your refrigerator, let your imagination roam. Something like that. It's not about information that you want. It's just maybe certain level of information that's just fine. for intuition. That this is like second dimension. And for third dimension, thinking versus feeling. For thinking go with logic, with reason. In the afterward, we will compare like thinking go with head, but for feeling go with heart. Thinking make decision with head with logic. For example, thinking style when they cook, analyze the process. The recipe can cook very efficiently process. For example, I'm thinking type of person. Therefore, before I cook, I analyze. Because if you do good thinking, you can speed up your process and get it done very fast. And you don't have to clean a lot of stuff. That's how I approach my cooking. But for feeling, well, not very much about thinking, but just maybe you need to substitute some ingredients according to who will be eating the soup. And in fact, you may want to wait until almost the last minute to decide whether or not to serve pumpkin soup. You may want to omit entirely from your menu and serve another soup or a dish that seems appropriate at the time. But whatever, serve with a warm smile. That's a feeling type that they go with feeling, they go with their heart. So this is how we make decisions. That's style that we make decision can be different. Just like next we talk about decision making. One thing that we should be aware of, this that we have different decision making style. Okay, this is the third element. And second, the fourth element is judging versus perceiving. This is mean how we orient ourselves to outer world. For judging, order and structure have to be by order, and this is what I think about what I should do. I don't want to change very much, and not change, but adapt, or sudden change. But for perceiving, more flexible, simultaneous. For example, I'm a type of person who's judging. Therefore, I don't like surprise. When someone says surprise, it may be birthday surprise, I hate it. Because I need makeup, I need to dress up. So don't surprise me with anything because I'm knowing myself that I'm not enjoy surprise. Sometimes, I try to be polite with my smile, but inside, no, I don't like it because, I'm judging on order. I have planned every day what I'm going to do, what I'm going to eat. So, don't surprise me. But, for other, they're like, they're flexible, simultaneous. So, okay, that, we'll form that four dimension, put into one code. For example, myself, introvert, I'm going to be I. And sensing versus intuition, I'm to intuition, but we do not use I, we use N. Okay, and thinking for me and judging. Okay, so this is become the code in front of you. Okay, anybody would like to share your code with the class?
Can I ask some question?
Yeah.
So for someone can be not only one personality.
Well, according to Mayan with assessment, they will put you in certain group of personality. For example, just like I mentioned, between like if it's sensing or intuition, have to be one from that assessment.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But yeah, as human being, it's probably like 100% that's this and that. But they try to give you a code. Alright, so anybody would like to share code with the class? Yeah, okay. Go ahead. Which is yours?
ENTJ.
My goodness, this one.
Yeah.
Life natural leaders.
General.
Life natural leaders. And as you see, this is E. Therefore, this is leader. As we talk about that, for E, it's natural, to make connection and talk to people. All right. So okay, good. Okay. That.
This guy.
This is how we use Mayan, and this is how Survey Salon. One of the most admired company in the world. Even though that's they not really have like fancy airplane, but it seems like that very successful. They are very successful. Lots of reasons, and one of the reason is because they're people, and this is the way that they use Mayan. they do not use my language in selection, but they use my language, just make, help each other to understand. For example, if someone is, eat and then walk, past and see, neighbor, colleagues, I. So okay, understand. All because you type I introvert. Therefore, when I ask you to like do a party and then you say no, it's nothing personal. It's just that person is just type of person that wants us to stay alone. So this is help people to work together. It's and once again, not for selection per se. All right, but before we talk about this, let's talk about comparison with Big Five. Okay, this is Big Five. Big Five different from language. Okay, listen carefully because most of students get it in the wrong way. That when we talk about language previously, is you have to determine all four elements and put it into one code. But for Big Five, no, because all Big Five is come from different places. But it just happens to be personality that has been studied the most in management. Therefore, we call it Big Five. Meaning that you don't have to pick one from five to be you, because everything can be you. This is one thing that makes Big Five different from Myers-Briggs. And another thing that Myers-Briggs different from this one is because for Myers-Briggs, you have to be either one of those, introvert or extrovert. But for a Big Five, it's not that case. Big Five is the level, is degree. For example, when the first one, conscientiousness, it can be like high conscientiousness or low or moderate, or something between moderate and high, something like that. Okay, so we're talking about level when we use Myers-Briggs. Therefore, for example, in your exam, if I ask you to analyze yourself according to Big Five, you have to analyze all five. You don't just pick one. All right, understand? Because this is just come from different places. You have to understand all five personality. And to make students remember, so they just probably call canoe, or some textbook they go with ocean. Okay, let's go with this one. C, conscientiousness. It means careful, dependable, self-disciplined. Something like similar to Marshmallow study. Have you ever heard about Marshmallow study? It is done a long time ago. It's become classic study that they have a kid in a room with the experimenter, with marshmallow, and then experimenter told kids that okay, I'm gonna go out for like 10 minutes with but you have marshmallow with you. You can eat this marshmallow, that's fine. But if you wait until I come back, you're gonna get double marshmallow that you have right now. Okay, so they test how many kids that wait to get after it means self-discipline. You don't eat marshmallow in front of you because you want more. And then they follow those kids after like 10 years, 20 years, and it turned out kids that can have self-discipline, control themselves not to eat marshmallow and wait until the experiment get back and to get more marshmallow. Those kids did very well in their career. They get high income. They have good jobs. So this is talking about consciousness. It's something that can predict success, and it's like quite when they follow people in a long time. Conscientiousness can help to predict what those kids gonna turn out to be. Therefore, maybe you probably can test that with your kids. And if it turns out to be not so good, you probably can train to change personality. Well, but it's gonna take a lot of effort to change personality. All right, that's conscientiousness. That's for the first one. Okay, the second one, agreeableness. Well, agreeableness is doesn't mean that person agree with everyone. It's not that, but it just means that person is easy, empathic, caring, good nature, courteous. Meaning that when, for example, when we ask that person to do this and that person seems to say, okay, let's do it. But for some person that have low level of agreeableness, it's quite hard to have that person to do this and that. Maybe from your friends or even your own experience that you see type of person who have high agreeableness or low agreeableness. In the other word, agreeableness, high agreeableness can be like nice guy, nice girl. In the past, maybe you heard someone say nice guy, nice girl finish last. That's in the past. But in research right now, we believe that okay, even though nice guy, nice girl finish last, but they finish successfully. Because it's not just about to get things done first, but right now we need help, we need network. For example, if you're good with people, you show empathy, it's people would like to work with you. So it's gonna be something good to support you to get advanced in the future. Therefore, agreeableness is some quality that should be good too. Okay, next neuroticism. Neuroticism means level of anxious, hostile, depressed, worry easily. In terms of emotion, can change very fast. That is neuroticism. And the fourth one, openness to experience, or just like the name said. When someone who have high openness to experience, that person like to learn something, would like to get to know something new, quite imaginative, creative, curious, and sensitive. All right. So maybe I can ask some of you, maybe who consider yourself to have high or low openness to experience. You okay? Can you elaborate why you think yourself are a person who have high openness to experience? What did you experience in Thailand?
I think I wouldn't have come here if I'm not open to new experiences.
Okay, this is your first time in Thailand.
I was here 2 years ago, but for holiday.
Okay, so maybe you can tell us a little bit what you learned or open up yourself to new experience in Thailand. I'm curious. What or maybe something like you never done before.
In terms of talking to people, or in terms of eating, or what do you mean?
Eating, anything.
Anything?
Yeah, anything. Yes.
Yeah, eating is quite a new experience for me, and I still have problems with all the names of food and to differentiate the different
Fruit.
Yeah.
Okay, what type of food that you like the most so far?
So far,
I will come to you, Jacob.
oh really? I like fruits because they're really fresh.
Which fruit?
Like ananas.
Tropical one, maybe pineapple, maybe.
Yeah.
You're from Germany, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What is your favorite food?
My favorite food from Thailand?
In Thailand, yeah.
I probably like Gapao Gai. I had the same meal for 5 years every day from the economics faculty, from the canteen number 2. Gapao Gai every day.
Every day.
Yeah.
Okay.
So not so open and imaginative, right? Agree.
Well, maybe you have other parts that have a high level of openness to experience, but do you consider yourself high or low
I would say
openness to
high,
experience?
yeah.
Okay.
Maybe same reason for Chris. I wouldn't be here if I wasn't
Okay.
if I wasn't high.
Okay, that's okay. Again, we will not say that high low is not good or bad. It's just how we different. We don't want to judge by those personality. But anyway, in terms of I'm gonna pass extroversion because we already talked about that. Well, in terms of research, which personality type show high level of performance? See, this is about management. We not just learn about personality, but we would like to know which type of personality can work really well. So we would like to hire that person. Which personality type that show high level of performance?
All of them.
Not all of them.
Oh, they all
Up
say
to the situation.
Okay, so which one? Interesting. It's not emotional stability. We would think that emotional intelligence, last time, or this is positive side of emotion. But previously we used this term as neuroticism, which is negative, but those the same. See, there's no relation with performance. This is from research. Alright, but it doesn't mean that we should not care about EQ because it's good anyway. But it probably doesn't matter much in terms of performance. Yes, it's correlated with job and life satisfaction, global stress level. But one element, but one personality that highly correlates with performance is conscientiousness. This one. Well, just why not? Because it's work hard. Therefore, when you work hard, it seems to lead to higher performance. And it's not just high performance; it's also enhanced leadership and greater longevity. Meaning that in terms of BMI, person who have high conscientiousness also have good number of BMI. It's just you have good quality of well-being because probably you know what to eat and you know you can control yourself to not to eat this and that, also go exercise. That is about conscientiousness. Besides conscientiousness, you also see agreeableness. But as you can see, it's not just for every job. For agreeableness, high performance, just for a certain type of job, would you like to guess which type of job will be good for a person who is high agreeableness? Which type of job?
Sales.
Yeah.
Salesperson.
What type of job that's gonna be good for high agreeableness? Because it's okay, even though it's higher performance, but it's just for certain type of job. But it's different from conscientiousness, that is for across jobs. But for this one, just for a certain job, which type of job that you think is would be good for one person who have high agreeableness? You would like to guess, yeah?
A good nurse.
In that study, it's not, it's probably not included, but have something like more general than a nurse. Yeah? No, actually, for sales have to be extroversion. Extroversion have it's good for performance too, but for just certain type of job, we got that, sales, and another type of job is manager. Extroversion. It's good for manager and sales. But for agreeableness, this is for job that require, have to provide service. So it's the worker. That's is good for a person who have high agreeableness because when you provide service, you don't want to argue with your customer. Therefore, it's going to be good, if you do in service jobs. What about openness to experience? Well, not about it have nothing to do with performance, but yeah, it's good in terms of training and enhanced leadership, adaptable to change, and this is for extroversion. A little bit more about importance of personality. This is from survey. One survey that they study CEO candidate, and it turned out that this is most important characteristic of CEO, and this is less important characteristic of CEO. Even though I'm quite surprised, to see listening and communications, in this side that's less important. But when you look at this persistent attention to details, these two are also quality of conscientiousness. Therefore, that's when you're talking about among from that big five, well, conscientiousness seems to be personality that's highly related to positive outcome. All right. Other personality types that we should know. Let's talk about locus of control. Locus of control means the extent to which people believe that their behavior has a real effect on what happened to them. So we have two types of locus of control, internal and external. For internal, they believe that, they can control what's going to happen. And this is a description of internal control. I make things happen. look what I can do, I can determine my future. But for external locus of control, is, well, I cannot do anything much. Why bother? That there is nothing I can do about my future. So this is how we can be different. For internal locus of control, they believe in themselves that, well, if they want something happen, they should do it. But for external locus of control, maybe it depends on destiny. It depends on other factors that I cannot control. Alright, so when maybe you think about yourself, which personality type is you? And again, since this is management, therefore we not just try to describe or explain how we different, but we also study, and this is what we found in terms of internal locus of control, that internal locus of control display greater work motivation. Since they believe that, well, if I want something good, I can, if I try hard, it can turn out to be good. Therefore, it's affect their level of motivation. And also, internal have stronger expectation that effort lead to performance. Since, it's, in the hands. It's not, in other factor. And when we're talking about the relationship between job satisfaction and performance, we discussed about that earlier, that, well, it's not simple that productive workers, happy workers are productive workers, because we also have other factors that maybe modulate that relationship. And one modulator is type of person. If that type of person, if internal locus of control, relationship between job satisfaction and performance will be stronger. That's one thing that we found. And also internal locus of control obtain higher salary and greater sales increase than in external. And one more thing, in terms of entrepreneur, successful entrepreneur seem to be internal locus of control. Someone that don't with someone that, well, if I want something to happen, I just try, just have to work hard. Even maybe some obstacle, I try to overcome that obstacle. It's not just because, God gave it to me, something like that. That is internal versus external. Understand? Any question? All right. So next we move on to self. We're gonna have 3 types of self. Let's begin with self-efficacy. Believing that you can perform adequately in a situation. Well, self-efficacy is not self-confidence, different. Later I will explain how the two are different, but let's focus on self-efficacy. Well, self-efficacy is similar to when you heard someone say, if you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, you can't. So what, if what you think, it can become what you think. Maybe some of you familiar with the book The Secret, self-help book. Have you ever read that book, The Secret? Something like, if you have a positive thought, it's gonna draw, it's a universal thing, and it's gonna be what you think. Well, it's different from something that in management. In management, no magic, no universal power to do that work. But it just begins from your thing, from what you believe, and from what you believe, it affects your behavior. So if you believe that yes, I can, when you believe that you can, it affects how you behave. For example, be active, try hard, set goal, plan, prepare. Okay, so therefore, when you work hard, chances are you can do it success. But when someone thinks that, well, I can't, I don't think I cannot get the job done, their reaction or their behavior going to be passive. Try to avoid difficult tasks, or maybe don't even try, or don't try hard. Chances are it leads to failure. So this is just mechanism to explain why what in your head can become something real. It's not just because someone do it, just because from what in your head, it affects your behavior. Okay, so this is very powerful, something that in our head Therefore, start each day with something positive. Because when you think positive, it's gonna affect what you behave toward others, and it's lead to outcome that we will get. All right. So this is explain mechanism of self-efficacy. But the thing is, how someone from high self-efficacy and someone from low self-efficacy. There are 4 factors to determine level of self-efficacy. The first one is prior experience. As you can see, among the 4 factors, the first one has solid line. It's solid because it's strongest. When we want to enhance self-efficacy, past experience can affect a lot. And other than past experience, it can be behavior, model, mean that when we see someone can do it, we will think that, okay, in that case, I can do it too. That because we can see someone do it, we tend to believe that, yeah, okay, I can do it. Or maybe persuasion from other give support, persuade, and then okay, because other believe in you, and then you can do it. And also readiness in terms of physical and also emotional state. So from this, how we apply in management. One way that we can apply in management is if you are a boss, if you are leader or manager, you try to increase level of your subordinates self-efficacy. Because if they have high level of self-efficacy, they can perform the job very well. How can do it? Yes. How manager can do it? First, prior experience. Start with assign work that subordinate can do it for sure, and then you raise the bar. When they can do this level successfully, and then you go up to the next level. So this is to build confidence or to build self-efficacy of your subordinate, or maybe yourself. Maybe you maybe since you understand self-efficacy is very powerful, you can apply this to yourself too. Start with thinking, start with belief that you can do it and work hard, and then it's gonna turn out to be good. And maybe show example of other behavior to subordinate that can help to raise level of self-efficacy. All right. So this is so positive relationship with job performance, something that we should not ignore. All right, and next is self-esteem. Self-esteem is the extent to which a person believes that he or she is worthwhile and deserving individual. They think that they are a person of worth. This is means self-esteem. Therefore, when we combine self-esteem with self-efficacy, this is self-confidence. So those 3 totally different. All right. And the last one in self is what we call self-monitoring. Self-monitoring means that we observe behavior and adapt to situation. Right? This is example. You are a new sales person and just made a huge sale and very excited. You run into your boss office and start to tell her, but she keeps looking at computer. Well, if A, you keep telling her about the sales excitedly, she wants to know. Or B, say, I'm sorry that I catch you at a bad time. If it's A, this is low or high. Self-monitoring?
No.
It's low. A is high. Alright, because A, even though you want to tell her badly, because you are so excited about that, but since this is not a good time, you can stop yourself and can come back later. But for okay, A is high. A is high because you can adapt yourself to situation. A is low. A is low. A is low because you keep telling her. But if you can adapt to situations, B. This is high. All right. So this is low and this is high. But from the previous slide, both high and low also have dangers. In the other word, too high is not good, too low is not good. Too high is mean that you adapt very well. You know what you should do with that person. What can be the danger of high self-monitoring? You adapt very well. You know how to talk to this person. With another person, you know how to talk with that another person. What can be danger?
Cannot make the discussion in the organization.
I'm sorry.
Like the maybe high self-monitored or like highly adjustable people can understand what others say.
And what can be danger?
Like maybe in the organization, like some way somehow the discussion or like other opinions are required to improve the businesses.
Not really. It doesn't mean that when you high self-monitoring and then you don't say anything. You say, but you just say to please that person. Because you know that one person would gonna be happy to hear what. So this is mean high self-monitoring. Okay. See, I asked you a question because to make sure that we understand the same thing. Because you know, in management it seems to be easy and simple, but you know, conceptually probably it's not what you think. All right. So when it's high self-monitoring, you adapt to people around you to please those person. Therefore, high self-monitoring person, the danger is that you will be perceived that you are insincere. It's not good, right? You know, and because you adapt too well. So, well, what is the real you? You know, maybe you have a lot of colors, and I don't know what exactly what who you are. So that's the danger of self-monitoring. But of course, so low self-monitoring, you don't adapt. You just be yourself. If you don't like, you say you don't like. I hate it. I don't like it, and it can easily piss off a lot of people. Therefore, ideally have to be something in the middle. But again, this is personality is not easily changed. For example, I'm type person that is low self-monitoring, and most of the time I did it again. I said something that I should not, and I'm feel bad about that. But you know, it's just like, you know, this is my personality that too fast, to react something with my, something in what inside my mind is just exactly just what I'm throw on my face, which is probably is not good. And therefore, well, in terms of this, is high or low self-monitoring related to job success? High or low?
For some organized high is better.
High. Because when you adapt very well, chances are you're good at politics. You know what you should talk, who you should talk to, in what way. Therefore, high self-monitoring tend to lead to job success. But low self-monitoring lead to good relationship. Like even though it's not a lot of relationship, but it's a deep one. Because people can take what you are, and it's easy to deal with low self-monitoring. All right, so that's pro and con. If you can, maybe try to be aware of your personality and make it in the middle time. All right, next is Machiavellian. Machiavellian, this is dark side of personality. It came from Machiavelli. Machiavelli is Italian philosopher. He wrote a book to teach Prince at the time, and that book is The Prince. And to be a good prince, because you have to be a ruler, you have to take control of the country. Therefore, about this characteristic, capable of lying to achieve personal goals, swayed by loyalty, friendships, past promises, and other opinions. It's just like Game of Thrones. You guys watch Game of Thrones. If you're gonna win the Game of Thrones, if you're not really a good person, you have to be able to hurt somebody else. Not about loyalty per se, and this is the reason why I enjoy the first season. But once the good man die, so it's just, oh, I cannot take it. But this is a Game of Thrones that if you good guy, you die fast. So okay, so and this is characteristic that we call Machiavellian. The person who maybe you know something, but you withhold that information. You didn't tell anybody because you think that if anybody know that information, that person will be better than you. You someone that you, but person who have high level Machiavellian can stab people at the back, something like that. Okay, it will work well and in loose organization that loose factor. And what about we talk about high self-monitoring related to job success. What about Machiavellian? Is it have something to do with job success? And I'm glad to tell you that it's not. Maybe you can take advantage of a person maybe just once, but they're not that stupid, that for you to take advantage for twice or more than that. And especially when you take advantage from one person, that person can tell. Therefore, this is not something that to help person to advance in organization just because to be like bad things like you will in personality. All right, so we have type B and type A next. This is have nothing to do with blood type. I know that some culture believe that blood type can predict personality. For example, I think in Japan, in Korea, you believe that. In fact, there's a Korean movie. The title is My Boyfriend is Type B, right? That's the title of the movie. That I think it's a movie. The title is My Boyfriend is Type B, because in Korean they believe that Type B man is not boyfriend material. Doesn't have boyfriend material. Will be poor boyfriend. Okay. So I'm management person. Therefore, I will not. I don't think that blood type has something to do with personality. In fact, I remember that one of my friends on my Facebook, which is actually my student, posted something about like she thought that she type A, and when she with like personality type blood type A, and she said it's very accurate. But she just go to Red Cross and donate her blood, and it turned out that she type O. So from that, forecast her personality, and she believed that it's so accurate. What does it mean? It just means that it can explain anybody because it's gonna put it in like neutral way. It can be like you person that believe in a good thing, something like that. Therefore, not about blood type per se, but for type A and type B in management also come from a doctor, cardiologist, to be specific for type of doctor. For that doctor, he observed his patients and he saw that two types of patients. One type of patient like to sit on the edge, meaning that when the time for the patient to see a doctor, that patient got up quickly, walked very fast to doctor office, and this is therefore he described type A personality like person who have high level of time urgency, competitiveness, electability. They want to do things very very fast. They walk fast. They eat fast. And since they try to do things quickly, so sometimes they can get irritated easily. That's this type A. But type B more casual, laid back, soft. And again, for this type A and B, it's not that you are either A and B. It's just level. Maybe like you tend toward more type A or more type B. It's not just either purely A or B. It's just put in in one continuum is A, one continuum is B. All right. So that when we different, so maybe if you type A, working with type B maybe it's quite hard in terms of well, you think that we should get this work done because we have just only a week ahead our deadline. But maybe Type B will perceive that we have long time because it's 1 week. So this is how time urgent can be very different from type of person from A and B. So try to be understanding when we work with people who are different from us. And that so you think that which one should be good in terms of performance, A or B? It turned out that most executive are type B, not type A. The reason is because first, when type A do things very, very fast, it can affect quality of decision making. Because too fast, everything too fast, that's one thing. And another thing, because they want things to get done quickly, sometimes they can have problem because of that irritability with coworkers. That is second issue. And another issue that the type A cannot make it to the top because they have problem in terms of health problem of heart attack. Because as I mentioned that this is from cardiologist and since things too fast. And for type B, as you can see that even though type B is not good from deadline work, but type B is good for complex tasks because they can take time on the task. Alright, that is type A and type E. Next is from our case, emotional intelligence. So we just we know about this, everything therefore I'm gonna pass this. Okay, in conclusion, to handle yourself, use your head. To handle others, use your heart. That's your formula lesson out. Next, it's not about just talking about practice or luck, which one lead to success. And the answer is both. You have to be lucky and good. For example, when Napoleon gets soldier in his army, one question that Napoleon asked, for a person that he considered to be in his army, are you consider yourself to be lucky one? And if they think that if they consider yourself to be lucky one, yeah, you're gonna be with me. So this is both that success comes from practice, that we work very hard, and also for a certain level, it also comes from luck too. We have to take that as a truth. Let's answer this together. Jessica would like to be a best-selling author. She studied organizational behavior, how we different people in the organization, and noticed to take at least 10,000 hours of deliberate practice. Jessica should do all the following except, and the answer is very good. A is something that she should do, identify aspects of performance that need improvement. B, get a coach to receive feedback. C, study other writer and their work. D, take breaks to maintain concentration. Alright, to wrap up our case about individual differences in terms of implication in business. We can apply individual differences in many aspects. One that to help us to understand others when we work in a team or when we lead team. What type of person that we should have in our team. What type of person that our team members are and how we can adapt and adjust to others. That's one aspect. And another aspect is in terms of in HR, which is when we select people, we would like, as you heard it very often, put the right man at the right job. Put the right man on the right job at the right time, which is person job fit. The extent to which a contribution made by individual match with the inducement offered by the organization. For example, if you're looking for sales, you should put extrovert person in sales position, not introvert. That just means person job fit. But for me, I also believe that we also should have differences meaning that it's not just similar type of person, type group of person working together. Maybe divergent is good too, because it can bring different dimension into the work. Okay, given that we want, person we want to apply in your different steps. As I mentioned that we can apply in employee selection, we can apply in training and development, career planning, and so on. So this is what we apply. So let's explore in detail how we can apply employee selection, just like in the case that they're talking about when we would like to get person who have high emotional intelligence in the organization. And it's just similar in your case that when we want instrument that we can use to tell personality of applicants. There are two issues that we have to pay attention. One is this is a quality of the test. It can be paper, pencil test, or it can be interview. It doesn't matter. But the good instrument that we should use in terms of to access personality is one is reliability and one is validity. What does it mean by validity? Validity means test measure what is claimed to measure. For example, if you want to measure leadership, that test should be able to measure leadership construct. I say construct because for that quality, it's different about, it's not like height or weight. That you can just, for example, just weight, you can just, step on scale and it gives you weights of that person. But one is construct, it's abstract. So how we can measure something that's so abstract? So it has to be done carefully. Therefore, to get a good test, it takes a long time. Example that you did a test in your Facebook, those are examples that have low validity. For example, when I was just curious that what type of Disney princess I am, and then I answered the test. But I doubt that the question has something to do with major characteristic of those princess. And second, when it turned out to be I am an Ariel, I don't think I cannot see myself as an Ariel, who like do anything for love, even I cannot talk, something like that. Therefore, you can use personality test, but you have to make sure quality that the test, when we write the test, can measure that construct, maybe consciousness or whatever. And another quality is reliability. Reliability means that consistency in measurement. Score that we get from the test every time should be not very much different, for the same person. Just like, if, on your scale, the first time that you step on your scale and the second time it should not be very much different. This is mean reliability. All right? Given that, we have a good test that have validity and reliability, but still it's still risky when we use personality test in selection. The problem is because persons have ulterior motive that they can lie because they want to look good, and this is like because everyone know how to look good. Therefore, it's hard to get the truth in personality test. Some would say that, but some tests can measure if candidates lie. Some tests can do that, but those tests gonna be long because we know that how we can tell a person lie or not. It's not just look at in the eyes, because a lot of person they are good, they can lie, with their eyes, and I, experience that a lot in my life. So it's not about look in the eyes, okay? But you can tell with a person like that you ask the same thing, but different time. And then if the truth, it's gonna be the same answer. But if not the truth, maybe this answer and that answer, that and that answer. Therefore, for a test that can tell if the applicants lie or not, that test has to be pretty long. The longest one that I have is like 400 something questions, which is quite long. Therefore, what I'm trying to tell you that using personality test is quite it's not easy. It's not easy at all. It's not just have a test and give a test to a candidate. Even though you are sure about your quality of your test, but you cannot tell if that candidate lie or not. Therefore, Google, okay, in terms of selection, in Google selection process, Google prefer to use work sample, meaning that when Google select like maybe programmer, they have that candidate to write program for them, which is work sample. So they believe that this is more accurate than any other selection tool. But of course, other job probably is hard to be able to have candidates to do the real job. Therefore, we still have to rely on other selection tools, for example, like maybe interview or the test. But it has to be done. It has to be done carefully. Speaking of Google, there are 5 personality that Google look for. Would you like to guess what type of Google that Google look for? We just learned. Just a few minutes. Google said that they look for 5 personality. One is, we just learned, conscientiousness. Yes. See, it's like okay, yeah, because when they do, they also rely on research to help them, shortcut. So one quality is conscientiousness. The second one is humanity. And the third one is comfort of ambiguity. Because, since, world is ambiguous, so they would like someone that have comfort with ambiguity. And the fourth one is, some of you already have this already, sense of humor. They look for someone who has sense of humor. And the fifth one is courage. Because they want creativity, innovation, think of the box, so have to have courage to think. And this is from AirAsia. When they, long time ago, this is from their HR told me that they have someone who candidates who apply for a job as flight attendant to bring crayons and color pencils. They have candidates to color pictures, but they don't, give score by how beautiful, but they just give score by how happy those candidates when they color the picture, because this is ISO's industry. They want someone that who can relax. All right, so this is implication for managers, and we already talk about that. Be careful when you use the personality test. Okay, to sum up, knowing other is intelligence because you know other, but knowing yourself is true wisdom. Therefore, after we finish in your differences, maybe you ask yourself what type of personality you are, to help you to understand yourself with, true wisdom. Master other is strength. Master yourself is true power. That is, about how we different. All right. So this is, just to wrap up. Personality type, matching, left and right. I am good at math, and this is. We just talk about that. This is. I'm good at math. I'm good at math is E. Self-efficacy. I'm dependent, responsible, and this is
E.
This is E. Know when to speak up. This is self-monitor. Effectively keep my emotion in check. This is emotional intelligence. I'm a person of worth. This is A. And believe I am the cause of good or bad thing happen to me. And this is internal locus of control. So this is idea about personality and wrap up the case. Any questions before we take a break, and we'll continue with the second case, decision making. Okay, if no question, let's take a break and then continue with the case.